Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Your Success. My name is Marjorie Roman, and we're here with our amazing coach, Dan Olsen. How are you doing, Dan?
Oh, hey, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Marjorie, and the team. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Dan. And one of the questions that we got is, are franchises awarded? Because here's the thing, like common sense would say, oh yeah, I need to be a millionaire so I can buy a franchise, because franchises are sold all the time. Is that true, Dan?
Well, franchises are not sold, they are awarded. And so you have to qualify for the franchise, but that doesn't mean it's difficult to qualify. There's over 6,000 franchises out there just in the United States alone. And in other countries, there's thousands in some of the bigger countries as well. So there's a lot of choices. But to go through the process, it's a process, step-by-step process where you are awarded the franchise. But I won't let that scare anybody away from looking at that right franchise. It's a process where you're checking them out and they check you out. And at the end of the process, if you like them, they like you, then they award you the opportunity or the right to have that franchise in your particular territory. Mm-hmm. So it's like getting married. So you're going to have at least a month worth of dating experience before you get married. That doesn't really happen in the real world, though, does it, for marriages? But maybe it does. But the idea here is that you need to take some time. It's a big investment. It's a big decision. So, take 30 days, and usually the franchisor will help you walk you through that and make sure that it's the right thing for you. And a good franchisor won't let you get involved with something that's going to be detrimental to your family and to growing an asset that's going to help you build that financial freedom. That's what it's all about: is financial freedom, the legacy, the idea that you have you are your own boss, you call your own shots, but you have that support and everything behind you. It's just sometimes almost magical the way that they can do that to help you succeed in a business.
It's like a big supportive family from what I'm hearing. And also from what I'm hearing is that you need to get the interest of the franchise on you as the future owner. So what are some of the tips that you're going to give us so we can earn that interest from the franchise to investing us as a future franchisee?
Well, some of the things, I remember early on looking at franchises years ago, and they wanted to see what my net worth was, and it wasn't sufficient for that particular franchise at that time. Although there are franchises that sometimes the bigger ones, it's really tough to get into, even like a Chick-fil-A or something like that. You got to have a really huge net worth. And I've seen friends of mine that have a $3 million net worth that they go out and they see that, well, your net worth is not big enough for our franchise. So there's ones that are really progressed down the road. Those are the harder ones usually to get into. So probably the biggest tip that I would have is to look for the emerging franchises. Look for the ones that need the growth, that want the growth. They're a little more hungry to be able to award those franchises so that they can become a little more creative in the financing and how you do that. But don't count yourself out either if you don't think your net worth is, sometimes they're looking for $250,000 net worth or a couple 200,000 net worth or whatever. But that means it could be equity in your home. It could be a lot of different things that you look at. In fact, I was just talking to a guy this morning. He was just saying how he didn't, with the real estate, it's gone up so high, he didn't think he had enough money to get into a franchise. And the guy I was working with said, "Hey, well, what's your home look like these days?" "Well, it's gone up in value quite well." And he says, "Well, do you ever thought about it? Get a HELOC, home equity line of credit on it." Mm-hmm. And you can take that and use your line of credit, use what the value in your home, because it's just sitting there, mm-hmm. and to leverage that, put it into a business that's going to produce you some income instead of letting the value sit in your home. If it continues to climb, which it is, we don't see the end of this. Mm-hmm. Why not use it? And he said, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Count me in. I'm in. I want to do this." So there's all kinds of different ways. Don't count yourself completely out. Let that franchisor help you through the process, especially if you're you're expressing that desire. So, hey, I really like what you're doing here. Maybe you might think I'm a little bit thin on my financing, but I think I can make some things come through here. Not only maybe some outside investor, but some other financing sources that might happen. There's all kinds of different possibilities. Don't count yourself out from being in a good franchise, but it starts with choosing the one that's kind of eager to want you in the door as well. Sure, they'll qualify you and you'll qualify them, but don't ever count yourself out.
That's right. And that's such a great piece of advice, I believe. Don't count yourself out. You always have so many opportunities to actually invest in a franchise. You just have to open up your eyes to all of those opportunities. And I
Right.
also like how you mentioned that we are going to be evaluating them as well as they are evaluating us. And I feel like during the process, it's really easy to ask questions, but it's also really easy to turn into a questioning person, that you're questioning the processes. So, what are some of the ways that you could that we can avoid questioning the process of the franchise?
Yeah, so that's a good point, because if we have, it's kind of a balance, and you have to kind of get a feel, because there will be a lead person taking you through from that franchise company, taking you through that process to see how you will qualify, to see how you respond, and what they're testing you on. Because franchise, why do you get into a franchise? You get it because there's a proven system, something that you find that works. So what they're testing you on, and they're looking for your results, is to see how well you follow the system of qualifying for the franchise. So they're going to give you specific things to do, looking at the franchise disclosure document. Of course, that's the legal document that everyone has to have. And you go through that. They're going to look at, you're going to be talking to other franchisees of theirs. You may be going to one of the locations. Anyway, that step-by-step process, they'll test you on how well you follow that system of qualifying for the franchise. So as you qualify by following that step-by-step process, just follow their leads. And then you're going to have plenty of opportunity to ask the questions along the way. So I wouldn't, sometimes it may, certain franchise companies, not all of them, it may scare them away that you have 3 pages of questions all written up, and you send that in, hey, what about this? What about this? What about that? You'll have plenty of time to answer those along the way, and usually they'll be answered along the way in the process. So maybe, I'm not saying limit your questions, but every time you touch base with their franchise advisor, is just have certain questions geared up in certain areas. Like, okay, how does the marketing work? Show me some examples of how the advertising works and what the results are. Work on that. Then you can look at the legal side. Let's talk about that side. And there are people along the way, like members of our team, obviously, that will help you every step of the way so you don't miss a beat, and fill in the questions that you forget to ask as well.
That's right. And I feel like it all comes about finding the right fit, because there's so many different like franchises out there. And as you go through the process, you're going to find which ones are the ones that are more tailored to your interests, that better resonate with you, and that you can truly feel that you can wake up every single morning and be like, I'm going to work in my business. Today is going to be great.
Yeah.
So, also one of the things that we need to take care of when we're looking at a new franchise is that we also
Right.
need to find a franchise that it's a good fit for us, because I feel like we are qualifying for them, but they also need to qualify to our standards. So, what are some of the things that you look for when you're purchasing a franchise?
Okay, so yeah, they're going to be looking at you, and they're going to be looking at you, first of all, let me start that side and I'll go to the other side, but
Mhm.
they're going to be looking to you how well you follow the system of qualifying, as we already mentioned. They're going to be looking at if you're a people person, because you're going to be needing to take care of employees and or customers or other franchisees, depending on the level you start with. And you're going to need to have that positive, uplifting. You want to be an example of good, positive attitude, because they want that franchise company to be lifted. They don't want to bring in negativity into that system. And that's not what we're all about anyway. And of course, they're going to help you find that right financial qualification. You can see how that's going to fit in. So they'll help you through that process. Now, on the other side, what you're going to be looking for them is, number one, you start with the people. And as you're building a relationship with the people, and you're seeing how they take care of you. You're seeing how they respond. Are they responsive to your emails? Are they trying to support you? Are they going a little bit overboard and providing you, hey, I thought you might be interested in this piece of information. You didn't ask for it, but things that they're looking out for you, that just those little extra things, those are things that you'll look for. But it's really the people. Once again, it comes down to the marriage. You're marrying into the system, the franchise system, really, and you become a part of the whole family. You're receiving that family. So when you get married, usually not only you're marrying that person, but you're marrying the family.
That's right.
So you got to see what's going on with the family, and that's where it's helpful for you to ask them to, hey, can I talk to 2 or 3 of your franchisees, or can I see what's going on in this location and meet those people and see what's going on? And that way you can feel like you're part of the family and see how you're received. And so it starts with the people, measuring how great those people are in taking care of you. And that's, like I said, I just compare it to the marriage and the same thing. You're looking for a good fit for the people. But then you start looking, that's more the emotional side. Then you start looking at the analytical side, obviously. Why do you buy a franchise? Why do you get into any business? You get in because you want to make money, right? I mean, that's simple.
That's right.
It's a simple deduction. So, does the franchise make money? Mm-hmm. And the way that you do that, there's 2 very important factors that I always look at, and I always instruct my people to look at. Sure, you can look at financials all day. So certain franchisees and even the franchise company can share with you, under proper disclosure in their documents, their numbers. So you can see how many sales and how the sales are trending, but that doesn't give you a lot of times the bottom line. So you need to look at that. But behind the scenes, just to make sure that those numbers are making sense, what they may have disclosed, and if they can't disclose those, sometimes they can't, then you go look at the numbers through the back door. And these are the 2 things that I always look for. In pretty much every business transaction, whether it's a hair salon or a food franchise or other type of service, whether it's dry cleaning, whatever it is, you name it. There's hundreds of industries out there represented. But there's these 2 critical factors. Anybody want to know what those are? Should we share those?
Yes,
or should we keep those secret?
Do that. Oh, no.
Okay.
Let's spread the secret. Right?
Okay, here's the secret. Here's how you get into the back door. These 2 simple factors. Number 1 is, what is the average ticket price?
So what is the ticket price?
So the average ticket price in a food place is, every time someone comes up to that counter, plops down their debit card or their cash or their Venmo or whatever they're paying, or crypto, some they might be paying with crypto, whatever they're paying for at that franchise location for food, the average ticket price is the average amount of money they're spending every time they pop that card down. So it might be, if they're buying a hamburger and a drink or whatever, just one, then it might be $10. But if they're buying for 2 people or 3 people or for a whole family, then that all averages out. So it might be $13, $14, $15 as an average ticket price, even though if you're buying for 1 person, it's only $10. If you're buying for 2 people, it might average $15, because some are buying for 1 for buying a 2. So that's what's called average ticket price. It's the same thing in the service business. Now, there's a little bit of difference in sometimes when you look at memberships, and we'll do that separately. But for the most part, average ticket price. So if the average haircut is $15 or $20 or whatever that is, you know what the average ticket is for that particular business. The other piece of it's real simple math. Okay, and we like to look at these weekly. I like to look at them weekly because I can see week by week how things are progressing, not just a monthly or yearly or quarterly analysis. That's also good, but I like to look at weekly and see those weekly numbers hopefully continue to climb. And I can ask the franchisee directly, how many clients or customers are you getting every week? So if I know that the average ticket price is $20, and I know they're seeing 1,000 clients that week or customers, that's probably a little over 100 a day if it opens 7 days, 100, maybe 120, 150. Some days will be higher than others. So if I do my math correctly, 1,000 times 20 equals $20,000 per week in sales. Multiply that out by the year, that's $1 million per year business.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just an example. I'm not saying that's
That's
how
right.
much you're going to do or make. I cannot do that. I'm just giving you an example. But that's how you can analyze it. And then you can see, okay, well, maybe it's only $10 ticket price and they're only getting 500. Well, you can do that same thing. It's 5,000 a week. In other words, 20,000 a month. So it's a $250,000 per year business. So you can kind of analyze that and see what the sales are in the back door. And I don't know, do we want to talk about membership, how that works?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of membership.
Okay, so that's the other side of things. So the members, then all you got to do is say, okay, what's your average membership rate?
So kind of like the ticket price.
Like a ticket price, except, but you're also getting single sales too that are not included in that membership because not everybody is a member. But they'll be coming in like in a fitness. You might be coming in for personal training and they're just getting paying for personal training and they're not a member of the fitness. They're not coming in. And that personal training maybe includes the membership too, but they're paying for those sessions every month. So, and everybody's structure is different. But the idea is that, let's say that it's $100 a month in membership. So then you simply so you ask the franchisee or the franchisor, what's the average membership? They tell you, oh, it's $99 or $100 a month or $59 or $60 a month, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Then you take, okay, how many members do these have after 5 months? Because they're not going to have some fitness places are able to get a couple hundred members, boom, real quick up front. And I don't know what their average ticket price is, but it may take a little while to get those members built up. So let's say 6 months down the road, and now you got 500 members paying $100 a month. If I do my math correctly, that's $50,000 a month in membership fees. That's 500 members times $100 a month ticket price. Then you can see exactly how those numbers are trending. And how would you like to wake up and you have a business, Marjorie, where you've got, if it's billed on the first of the month, all of a sudden, sometimes it's billed daily, but if you've billed $50,000 a month on day one of your business, and you had $50,000 and your overhead was only, I'm just throwing out an example, was only $35,000 a month, guess what? You've already paid for your whole month on day one, and then you just make the payments on your payroll and your rent and everything else. And you put then the leftover profit is just sitting there at the end of the month, and you can manage it easier with those membership programs too. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we can go in a lot of detail about this, but the financials are very, very important. But that's my secrets on how I analyze a business very, very quickly, and I can do it in 5 minutes. I can see whether a business is worthwhile to look into or not. And of course, we help with those types of things through our system.
That's right. And I feel like it's amazing how we can actually access that information to analyze the right fit for us. So now, how does the selection process work then? Just like as a quick overview, how does a franchise inform the next franchisee of them being selected within the family?
Okay, that's a good question. The more developed franchises, I've been part of those, of course, and what they do is they have a franchise committee, selection committee, approval committee to grant the franchise license. And so what would happen is you go through the process, you get to a certain point, you maybe have attended what's called a discovery day, and you've met everybody, and everybody likes each other. Mm-hmm. So then you go, and I've seen this happen, like I said, with more advanced franchises, you go before the board or the committee, and there's like maybe 4 people sitting there, not necessarily the CEO, but it's other people who are officers or part of that company, franchise company, and they'll ask you questions. How'd the process go for you? How do you like it? Why do you want to be a franchisee? It's almost like an interview process for a job, really. Oh, wow. So it could be that extensive because they're really filtering out who they bring in. Mm-hmm. And then you step out of the room, and then they talk, and then you come back in a few minutes later and say, hey, congratulations, we're awarding you this franchise. Oh, wow. Or they may say, you know what, we have a couple more questions for you before we make this decision. And I had one guy, for example, I remember on a committee decision like that, he was a young guy, he's like 25 years old, he didn't have the experience in business. And he says, you know what? And the committee came back and says, you know what? You just don't know. We don't know if you have the right experience. We don't know if you're going to be able to do this franchise because you don't have enough experience in business and because you've done these other things. And he looked right back at him and he said, this is a franchise, isn't it? Don't you have a proven system? Don't you have support? Aren't you going to help me succeed in this business? I'm eager to do this and I'm looking for you to, I will follow your system, but I need your support and I will be one of your best franchisees. And guess what? They awarded him the franchise just like that because of his attitude, even though he was less experienced. So you never want to count that out. But then there's the less experienced or emerging franchise companies that usually it's the decision is made by a CEO or someone, whether he or she want you in the system. And so you want to get to know that person and know that process up front. Do you have to go through a franchise licensing committee meeting? Or can you just be awarded the franchise through the approval of the CEO and maybe even one or two other officers of the company?
That is really cool. And then again, it comes down to not counting yourself out of this opportunity.
Right.
Because you have so many amazing skills that you have no idea that you had inside, but you can truly become a franchisee. Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you for giving us the hope of buying our next franchise.
You can do it. It's possible.
That's right. Especially because we have Coach Dan in the house.
I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much to everyone and see you on our next episode. Bye-bye.